morning, everyone. I'm Jen Frazier. I'm the CEO and founder of Firefly Partners, and I've got a lovely panel here with us today. We're going to be talking about integrated digital ecosystems, and we're going to try to go quickly. We're going to keep it relatively high level because anybody who talks about the various components that we're going to speak to today, each of them could be a rabbit hole that you could go down into for a long time. So we're going to try to keep it relatively high level, and definitely want to be able to do question and answer. So we have a space at the end for Q&A, but if there's a burning something that anybody's speaking to, please raise your hand. We'll try to address it. Or I don't know if somebody somewhere that's engaging network C can, if there are questions that come in, I don't know if people are asking questions on the app. And so definitely want to be able to answer questions as we go. So I came up with this little catchy title, Digital Nirvana. It exists somewhere. We're not sure where, but we're going to try and help as many organizations get there as possible. So here's what we're going to talk about today. Just to do some quick intros. Got, again, an esteemed panel with us. And then we're going to go into, I'm going to ask each of them a question about their take on their piece and their expertise in what is a digital, an integrated digital ecosystem, so that each of us can talk about the CRM component, the website component, and your digital tools. Those are sort of the major pieces we're going to be talking about, even though I know there's lots of things that can go into a fully integrated ecosystem. We're going to spend most of our time talking about those major components and how they should interact with each other to help you all at the org level get a great insight into what your users are doing, and then be able to hopefully communicate more effectively to folks wherever they are in that journey. And we'll talk more about each of those. So I'm going to put up the questions that I'm going to ask each of these folks so that folks can't hear or don't remember what the question was that I asked each of them, and then they'll be responding. But first, we're going to do intros because we want to know who all these amazing, awesome people are. So like I said, I'm Jen Frazier. I'm the CEO of Firefly. We are an Engaging Networks partner for, I think, 150 years now, something like that, roughly. And Clint and I now have the pleasure of living together in Boulder. So I am based in Boulder. Like, he's kind of up in another neighborhood. We get together and go hiking. It's amazing. Anybody wants to come out, please do. We will take you on one of the hardest hikes that we've got out there. Just kidding. We'll make it easy. People who come to Boulder and they get up at the elevation, they're like, I've got altitude sickness. So we'll try and keep it easy on you. Please come to Colorado. So we do a lot of digital marketing, a lot of work on engaging networks, and sort of try to help you find your way to the right tools, help get them integrated, kind of stuff we're going to be talking about today. But certainly we want you to make the most out of your digital platforms. I'm just going to go in order of the folks that are the way the pictures are, and then so you can kind of find your people. They're not in the exact order. I let them sit where they wanted. I know, bad me. But Sarah Burke, why don't you give us an intro?
Thank you. I'm Sarah Burke. I'm the Director of Marketing at the Southern Poverty Law Center. So oversee our digital marketing, direct mail, telemarketing, and all sorts of other things as well.
And you're where are you based? You're based here.
I am based in New York.
New York, right. Okay. Awesome. We're very excited to have SPLC with us, new onto the Engaging Networks platform, and to Roy. Very exciting. So Renee, you're next.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so my name's Renee Dunn, and I'm the owner of Grand Crew Vision. Do websites, digital accessibility, Google Analytics, all that kind of fun stuff.
Fun fact, Renee used to work at Firefly. So she's kind of part of the extended Firefly family. So when I needed a website expert, I was also like, you're here, you're local, come and tell us all the great things. And she's doing a lot of great work in accessibility, which is another topic near and dear to our heart. And many of you probably know our next guest, John.
I'm John Simatowski, the Principal Solutions Architect for Engaging Networks. So I handle the product demos and all the RFP responses. Thank you for all those wonderful heavy-duty RFPs, everyone. Stop sending them my way. Let's see, so I've been here now, it's my 8th year at Engaging Networks, longest I've worked anywhere. I've been in nonprofits directly as a fundraiser or as the tech guy in the background as well. And just bought a house in Framingham, Massachusetts. And for fun, I play flamenco guitar and recently took up flamenco dance to improve my guitar skills. So, no, I
This
will
is
not
happening.
be performing today.
This is happening for sure. Awesome. Thanks, John. And last but not least, Cindy.
Hi, I am Cindy Hickman, and I'm here from Roy Solutions. I'm also a partner of Engaging Networks. Yes, I see 5 or 6 clients here, so great to see everyone. Let's see, I've been at Roy for 6 years. I am the director of our product management team that oversees the CRM. So all the things Dan said about wanting to talk to you, we're right there also. Yeah, happy to be here and with this great panel.
Awesome. So we're going to talk, like I said, about this magic that's supposed to happen somewhere in the people love Venn diagrams. I'm no stranger to the Venn diagram. But so obviously we love engaging networks. That's why we're all here. And there's a lot of amazing, I'm continually psyched and thrilled about all the exciting things that are happening in the marketing, the peer-to-peer, all these digital tools that we love to help our clients use most effectively. But it's a sliver of the pieces of your digital ecosystem that we really want to make sure are working in harmony together to help you all make a great user experience for folks out in the world trying to learn about your organization, get excited about the work that you're doing, and then obviously as they interact with all these pieces of your MarTech, that's technical, if anyone's really keeping up on the MarTech, your marketing technology, your software, your platforms, how are those tools interacting with each other and integrated most effectively so that you all, again, from your seats, are not just sort of going, well, I can go in and look at these amazing reports inside Engaging Networks, and then when they leave Engaging Networks, it's a giant black hole. I have no idea. Or they're over here on my website and they're doing some stuff, and I got my Google Analytics, and I can see some stuff over here, but then I don't really understand how to help me as a digital marketer, a fundraiser, a volunteer coordinator, wherever your role is at the organization, understand how to make all that work together or learn from what's happening across the pieces of your digital ecosystem. If you're playing bingo at home, you should be drunk already because I'm going to say digital ecosystem at least 30 more times. So if you got your bingo card out, what does that mean? So here's a couple things. So we're not going to answer all the questions or get way into the technical weeds today. Like I said, we're going to try and keep it high level. But we just wanted to make sure that people are really starting to think about this more and more because we love, again, when the platforms, each platform itself is making great advancements, but we want to make sure people are kind of taking a step back and looking at things holistically to make sure that we're able to say, okay, great, but did they come to this event? And if they did come to that event, are they more likely to give? If I send them a message here after this, how many days? And then if they also come over here, what other offline things are happening? What's things happening on my website? And what can I do to try and even make sense of all this data? So I know that it can get overwhelming and feel like a lot. So we're going to try to keep it, again, high level. And at the end, our bonus round is going to be just a takeaway for each of you. So if you get lost in the weeds of the technical or the rabbit holes we might go down, we're going to pull it back out and try and keep it high level with a simple takeaway at the end of the conversation. Okay, so I'm going to go into a Q&A portion now. And first up is Sarah, our esteemed nonprofit colleague on the stage. So how many people know of, adore, have donated to, been an active participant ever in something to do with Southern Poverty Law Center? Been a fan for a lot of years. Love the work you guys do. It's critical. We've got so much crazy stuff happening in the world right now. But you've been around for so long. You're really well known. And a lot of organizations with your sort of like your clout, your name recognition, I think might say, we're good. We can just sort of keep doing what we've been doing. I've worked with some other organizations that have a hard time maybe modernizing or thinking about digital in new and innovative ways that are more likely to kind of kick back and be like, we're good, we got this. So tell me about where you guys are in your organization and sort of how you are kind of taking it upon yourself to do sort of a pretty good size overhaul to your digital.
Yeah, so we have grown pretty rapidly and dramatically from 2016, 2017 to present. And whereas, a lot of our progressive peers in the space also saw that bump but then came back down, we did not. We have continued to really be growing at a pretty rapid pace. And our infrastructure, our systems have not changed, are still based on the size of the organization that we were 10, 15 years ago. And we just knew that was not sustainable. And we would not be able to even continue on the trajectory we were at, let alone look at continued growth if we just stayed constant. We also, many of you know the history of Southern Poverty Law Center. We built our base of support direct mail. We are a direct mail powerhouse, and that is really where we invested a lot of our time and attention and hadn't invested that same level in digital. So we really kind of took a hard look at where we were, and over the last 18 months, thanks to supportive leadership, we put some other priorities to the side and said, we need to just tackle our systems and our operations in order to be truly strategic and to be able to really bring the organization to that next level. We need to invest in our systems and make sure that we are bridging that divide and bringing offline, online, all of our so many systems together in order to actually have a full picture of how our donors are behaving and where they're coming from and how they're engaging with us.
Awesome. And I know that you just said the critical words are supportive leadership. Is there anything you
Yes.
had to do to make that, or were they kind of already there?
Luckily, some of that work happened before I arrived. It's always fun to come to an organization when all of the hard work has been done for you. So some of that really had already happened, but we also had a leadership change a couple years ago, and so leadership was already kind of primed to make some hard choices, look at things, and knowing that we had to do things differently. So it was a pretty easy conversation for us to have.
Good. And I know that's not the case, obviously.
Yes,
with a
I'm
lot of
sorry
you.
if that is not the situation at your
If
organization.
you need help convincing, just come and talk to me. I do it all the time. I talk to leadership folks a lot about why it's so critical, the investment, the long-term benefits you're going to get out of it, and those types of things. So we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but that's certainly, I know, an obstacle a lot of people face. But happy to have that conversation with you if you're finding sort of you're hitting a ceiling and the investment isn't there. But so Sarah, you kind of stepped into a spot, felt like it was again already able to go there. So you redid your website, WordPress, yes?
We are currently going
doing,
through.
yeah.
We did a complete rebrand. So first we did kind of a facelift, and now we're going through a full redesign of the website.
Okay.
We moved our offline CRM to Roy.
Bum, bum.
And now we moved our direct mail caging firm. That was a massive undertaking that we
Yeah.
did really at the same time.
Yeah.
And now we are beginning the migration to engaging networks.
Awesome. So, which Firefly's helping us. We're going to crush it. It's going to be amazing. We're going
on
to get
it.
you to exactly where you need to be. So, we're going to talk about the website component. Then we're going to kind of go through each part. But so, Renee's here as our WordPress expert. And like I said, some of the things you're going to find on your website side is the analytics you can get into. We dabble mostly in WordPress. Same thing happens, Drupal, et cetera. But like, there's a lot of things happening right now and challenges that folks are coming against with getting data out of websites. This is a big one. I'll let people take a look at this. Talking about Google Analytics and website privacy law changes that are happening. I don't know if anyone's been following this and paying attention to it. We have a lot of clients who have a lot of concerns about this. So as you're thinking again about data in and out of your website as a part of your ecosystem, I just wanted to have someone come and speak to us about this part of it, because I know this has come up with a lot of our clients recently as you're trying to think about, well, how much can I track what's going on with my users on my website? Can I pull all this into my CRM? And so I would love Renee to talk about some of those challenges as a first step on our digital ecosystem tour.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, so I'm going to preface this with saying I'm not a lawyer, so I cannot, like if you have actual legal concerns about privacy, you need to talk to a legal professional about those. Yeah, there's definitely been, some changes. Browsers are starting to block like the third-party cookies, things like that. Now everybody should be using GA4. They're definitely a lot more kind of privacy fundamentals built into that platform. So, you can't collect data where the values of your custom dimensions are going to be, specific to like, each individual person or something like that, that would potentially violate someone's privacy. So you do have to sort of think about, when you're kind of building out your collection, what are some things that will give you, some good, still give you some good information that you can still see trends, but, that's not going to give you just like, oh, Bob said this specific thing or Jane did this specific thing, so things like that. I think just being, and it sounds like in a way that, like Sarah, that you guys said, think about your mission, think about your strategy, what are the pieces of data that are going to be most valuable to your organization, to see these trends over time, to see the patterns. We were talking earlier, there's some cool possibilities with AI to, really just give it a bunch of data and really start to find some of these trends and these patterns. So yeah, just, thinking about what's most important to your organization. But you can still do a lot. Some of the stats that I've seen are saying maybe 1 in 5 people are blocking cookies at this point, which is still 80% of people aren't, right? So there's still a good amount of audience out there where, you can do some use of first-party cookies to get a little bit more information about, how are people engaging with your site, passing some, potential interest information, like when someone fills out a form, having some of that information collected that goes eventually into, the CRM. And then WordPress is amazingly flexible. There are ways that we can then look at that information. And, I worked with an organization at one point that was an animal-based organization, and it's just like, we know that you like cats, so we're going to feature more images of cats, or we know that you like dogs, so we're going to feature more images of dogs. I mean, just ways that you can sort of, personalize and customize your display, how you serve up your content, things like that. There's still a lot you can do that isn't going to violate an individual's privacy.
Yeah, I think the big one is the making sure that you're able to, as a nonprofit, admin person, you're like thinking about the content on your website, and you're also thinking about maybe a session-based cookie. What can I serve up to them while they're still here before I maybe even know who they are? And then how am I able to glean those interests? So there's content that you're pushing up maybe while they're there and things like that, related content. I don't know if folks are folks doing this currently on their organization websites, or you have no idea what I'm talking about. It's difficult to sort of get going sometimes, but then actually once you get into it, it's not that tricky. So if you're not the web person at your shop either, mostly what I want to do is encourage you to be talking with them. So what I notice a lot when I end up talking to organizations is the silos that obviously are between the departments. And it's really starting to think about, this is a user, this is a customer journey. So they are not, you don't have a black hole of not understanding what they've done on your website or what content they're visiting on the website or these other areas once they come into your realm. So you think about, I should know what folks are looking at on our website. I should understand what content they're interacting with there, and how will that impact the way that I, as a fundraiser, am messaging them once they come in sort of to the next stage of their journey, or we do find out who they are. So if people are talking to their web folks at your organization, start talking about what information are we gathering? What information are we tracking already? Am I looking at content types that people are already looking at? Am I looking at content areas? How are we tagging the content on our website so I can learn this information from a website visit from someone in our organization, so that when they come through, that does flow into their into your CRM, so you actually know this about them. So when you're serving up other messages to them later, this is part of the learning that you have about this individual. And yes, Big Brother's crazy, but you know all this stuff about somebody before you even know who they are. So there are ways to help glean this information. And again, it doesn't get into personal. So I just want to appease that. This isn't like, oh, Jane Doe, whatever. Also, you know all these things about her personal history or whatever. You can get into some of that, but this is not anything that's also restricted by law. This is not anything that's private, personal identifying information. That's not the PII. It's sort of like, who is this person and what is the content that they're interacting with? So if you're not familiar with what your organization is doing already on your website and how to track things like where's that user going, what content are they interacting with, please start having those conversations. It'll enrich the experience. So thank you for that. So the next step in the journey we're going to talk about is a question for John. We love to hear more. We love the conversation yesterday with Graham about AI. And we know that it's in there and it's coming deeper and deeper into the Engaging Networks platform. Can you tell us a little bit more about why nonprofits should embrace it? Graham wasn't convincing enough yesterday. John, why should nonprofits love AI and embrace it as part of their digital ecosystem work?
Because Graham said so. That's why. Why do we do anything here? Well, I think the part of we're going to make it easier. One of the slides you might have seen in Dan's presentation was around smart lists coming into marketing tools very soon. So the key thing with there's I think every company talks about AI and machine learning, and you see ads for all kinds of different things, but to me, a lot of the tools out there are basically glorified analytics. Because they don't offer a delivery mechanism. They don't they give you insight, but then what do you do with it? And so that's the beauty of accessible intelligence, and that's the beauty of putting smart lists into the marketing tools, is that we're giving you a delivery mechanism. So with the accessible intelligence, it creates that entire journey with scraping content from your past messages, and then tells you how you need to enhance that content to get the kind of conversions you're after. So whereas if we just gave you the list, like Graham was saying about the groupings, they're meaningless you can't decipher anything from them. But by having the tools then continue to build out the journey, you've got the delivery mechanism. But if you're not ready to take that full plunge into accessible intelligence, we're bringing more of that learning. So we think of accessible intelligence as the R&D lab for engaging networks. We're going to be bringing more of that into the platform. The smart lists are the first place we're going to do it. So you don't have to make those guesses as to who should get this message, nor are you broadcasting to everyone on your list all the time. And as I was thinking about some of the Google Analytics tracking, there's something else to be learned there. What's that pattern of behavior from your web property of where people are clicking through and what content they're consuming on your website in a passive state? How can you then mirror that in your marketing automation journey? So use those personas that you're developing from looking at where people are doing that, bring that in your marketing automation journeys as well, and the smart lists are going to help you do that.
Awesome sauce. Yes, it's like, just start to be an extra layer of my brain, please, AI, and help me do this in a way that's more efficient, ways that would take me way too long as an individual, and things I probably wouldn't see. I think there's so much potential with AI, and it's ways that we are looking at incorporating it into this kind of work where you're looking at big data sets too, and trying to look at trends and like what is the user behavior. I think that's a big one where it would be really hard for an individual to kind of decipher, or you're writing manual algorithms or something to help you decipher data sets. The AI is going to come in and hopefully make that a lot easier. So the Engaging Networks is your next step in your ecosystem, and hopefully you're again learning information maybe from what's happening on the website. You're learning that's informing maybe some of the marketing automation that you're setting up. And Engaging Networks, hopefully it should be, could be, would be. that is helping you learn what folks are doing and recognizing what they're interested in and then feeding that back to them, but also, like John just said, directing them a little bit. You're paying attention to what they're doing, but then you're going, okay, that's amazing. Now I want you to come and look over here and do these things. So it's a combination of already looking at what they're doing and learning from that, and then helping that kind of be the basis of what communications you're doing with them going forward. So it's a constant learning of, okay, then if I push this in front of them, how are they reacting to that? So it's kind of these two things working together. We're going to bring in the glue that ties it all together is the CRM piece. So where's all this data going originally anyway? Some of it's coming out of the website, going, engaging networks, you're learning it, but really what the magic sauce behind the scenes is really the CRM. So Cindy, tell us a little bit more about the Revolution CRM if you want, and then tell us a little bit more about how the CRM sort of ties it all together.
Sure. Well, for those of you that aren't familiar, Roy Solutions, we are based in Medford. We are now a remote-first company, so we don't have that many people in the office anymore. But been around for 24 years, similar to Engaging Networks, very proudly, independently owned. Our founder and CEO started the company 24 years ago, is still there right in the middle with all of us product folks, kind of figuring out next steps and talking about roadmaps. So very, very proud to say that. Let's see, the CRM, yes, right? That tends to be where everything comes together. And I think the biggest thing, if I had to say, would be the integrations we build with Engaging Networks, right? And so you may have touch points in your CRM that you are not using your integrations with Engaging Networks to bring that data in. There may be some sort of offline activity that happened, maybe something that happened with a canvasser, or something even that happened through a direct mail piece. That could be additional good touch points that would be important for you to grab, to have back in Engaging Networks to kind of get that more holistic view of that donor. And so, as we've been talking about, machine learning also is a big deal. And so some of you may already be doing some of that. I know some of our clients do that with Roy. Some of you do it with other vendors as well. Those are good pieces of data too, right? So being able to have those pieces of data on the donor record, we track all of that in the CRM, and that's available also that we could push over to Engaging Networks to help you really see the full picture and make kind of the best decisions about what's the next step for that donor. And it's possible it isn't an email. Maybe it's someone who's, increased their giving to the point that they're headed into your mid-level program. Maybe they need a phone call first, right? Maybe something else needs to be queued up before that next email goes out. And so really getting that whole, as much as you can, 360 view, I think is really important.
Yeah, something we talked about in one of our sort of prep calls was the idea of attribution of a gift or some action. And so this is sort of one of the critical pieces that we sort of were all like, yes, when you say, if I have a somewhat limited view into my user behavior, and you think, okay, hey, I'm trying to look and say, gosh, gifts really spiked here. What happened? And a lot of times we're only looking at maybe, well, we did, maybe there was an event, but maybe there was this email that went out, and maybe you want to attribute this increase in activity or increase in donations to, wow, people really love this email. It was amazing. Let's go back and look at it, and let's try to replicate what happened in that email. But then you're like, okay, wait a minute. What are the 7 things that happened before these folks got this email that maybe queued them up appropriately to really want to give? And also, again, back to some of the AI and how you can get deeper, how did this segment, what was this segment's journey to getting this email and making this gift versus these other segments, and what was motivating people along a journey? This email was not the cause of the giving. We all know this, but trying to uncover what those steps were is difficult right now for a lot of folks. We talk to a lot of people who just like there's just a bunch of either missing data, black hole, don't understand it, and then obviously trying to make those journeys happen for you in a way that makes sense you could replicate again, I think is the hard one. But that's where sort of having all of the pieces of your ecosystem as integrated as possible. And again, I think there's always a walk, jog, run philosophy of like at least trying to get the systems in place, get them set up, and then trying to at least start getting the hooks set appropriately so that you are pulling that right information over into the systems appropriately, so you can start to make sense of it. And again, you can get in sort of data overload, and we don't want that. So there's ways to start small and then kind of build from there. So I know that it feels like, oh wait, you talked about these really interesting things in each of these areas. But like I said, we're going to try and keep it high level. I've just been given my flag. So we're going to go lightning round. Boom, 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 boom. So thank you each for your insights into what you're doing. We're going to just go starting at the end and coming this way. Lightning round. One step you'd recommend for folks in the room to get started in integrating their digital ecosystems.
I would say getting leadership involved, really getting that buy-in from the top is really important.
I'd say looking at your segmentation and making a list of what you would like to be able to see and ways you would like to be able to try to segment your supporters that you don't yet have the data for, and just start to make a plan for one by one of how to get that.
Love it.
I was going to say that, but as profiles, as using profiles in engaging networks. But the other part of it is attribution. So using tracking IDs and then grouping those into the channels, which is a feature in the platform you might not know about, to understand what's performing best for you.
Great.
Yeah, so sort of also building off of Sarah's, learn GA4. I mean, it's here. It's, it's the tool now. There's a ton of different things you can do with it. So it's free. So, just learn as much as you can. Try to capture as much as you can with it.
And my piece of advice is talk to your friends at your organization, break down the silos between departments, and start thinking about this is a journey. This goes between department to department to department. This isn't just like, I only think about it in my little silo. Really try to think about your data and learning across the organization as much as you can to help the whole organization benefit from a deeper understanding of how your users are coming into your list, how they're engaging with you along the way, and what's motivating your folks to give more, do more, and be more engaged with your cause. So I think that was it. I think we wrapped it up very nicely. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.